But most of all, success is making your life what you want it to be, considering all the possibilities, considering all the examples. What do you want for your life? That is the big question. Remember, success is not a set of standards from our culture, but rather a collection of personal values, clearly defined and ultimately achieved. Success is your better life for you, the design you give it, the dreams you accomplish. Making your life what you want it to be for you, that is success. One morning at breakfast, shortly after I met Mr. Show, he asked me if he could see my current list of goals. He said, "Let me see your list of goals, and let's go over them and talk about them. Maybe that's the best way I can help you right now." And I said, "I don't have a list." He said, "Well, is it out in the car or at home somewhere?" I said, "No, sir, I don't have a list anywhere." He said, "Well, young man, that's where we better start." Then he added, "If you don't have a list of your goals, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did, and that got my attention. I said, "You mean that if I had a list of goals, that would change my bank balance?" He said, "Drastically." That day I became a student of how to set goals, and sure enough, when I learned how, my whole life changed. My income, my bank account, my personality, my lifestyle, my accomplishments.
Recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You can decide that you're going to change, that you're not going to be a wimp. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision. You can decide, I'm going to work on myself and develop myself. I'm going to empower me. And all of these things that are happening to me right now, they're just temporary inconveniences. They're not stronger than I am. I'm in charge here. Next thing is separate what you do from who you are. That's what the guilt trap is about. See, a lot of folk won't let you forget what you used to do or what you have done, what mistakes you've made. All of us have made some mistakes in life. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. There are a lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. And that's what you call life. I didn't do it like that. Oh, you don't want me to live that down, huh? You want to keep on putting that in my face about what I did. Guess what? I'm not interested. That's what I did then. Won't do it today, so you are picking on an innocent man. Hello. So as you're in the process of reinventing your life, write a description of the kind of person that you want to be. What are the things that you must overcome? What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you? What are your assets? What are your strong points?
Your identity, your personal worth, the thoughts, concepts, and attitudes and beliefs you hold to be true about yourself are the thermostat of your life. They regulate everything. You have a money thermostat, a relationship thermostat, a fitness thermostat. And what happens in people's lives is they change the external results short term. No one's going to tell you this other than me. They start to change their conditions. I'm reading these books, I'm buying these properties, I've made a little bit of money, and your results begin to exceed. You start getting 85 and 90 degrees of results, but you didn't do the work to change your identity. You didn't change the thermostat your life is set at. And guess what starts to happen? I watch it over and over. You will thank me for this right here someday soon. The results get a little higher. They're 85. I closed the deal. I made a little money. I closed another one. I made a little money. I got this going. I've lost 20 pounds. Whatever it is. The results start to get higher than their set thermostat temperature. And guess what you do unconsciously? You don't even know you're doing it. You turn the air conditioner on of your life and you will cool it back down eventually to get it right back where you're comfy, 75 degrees. Same thing happens when it goes bad. You're broke. The water's turned off. The power's turned off. Your car gets repossessed. They dynamite your property. You find a way to turn the heater on and get it back. The key to life is not the knowledge you learn. You have to have that. Knowledge is not power if it's not applied. The key in life is changing that internal thermostat. And if you don't change that, listen to me. It'll seem coincidental. Yeah, something happened to the property. It was a bad rain. Construction costs went up. The market conditions changed. The interest rate went up. No. It's not coincidental. It's not. You cooled your life back down because you didn't do the work on who you are. The thing I have in my life is I associate with higher and higher identity people more and more and more in my life. That's what this group does for you. You get the power of association. The people you associate with keep you up. If any of you that are religious, if you weren't fit, let's say you hung around someone in this room that's super fit and you were out of shape. You can't be around that person constantly and not start to eat differently, start to think differently. If you're a person of faith, you're around someone who's a high thermostat temperature person of faith. You're around them all the time. You start to behave differently. If you're a man in the room and you start to hang around guys who are true to their wife and love their wife and are faithful to their wife and compliment their wife and hold their wife's hand, they do all that stuff. They date their wife. You can't help but change your thermostat. Same with money. You don't think Sylvester Stallone and Phil Knight, and John Elway and Tony Robbins had an impact on me?
If you know the road ahead, you have incredible power called anticipation. Anticipation is the ultimate advantage. See, winners, leaders anticipate, losers react. The reason you get beat is you don't know where things are happening, so you're reacting. Reaction is always stressful. And yet so much of our life is predictable if we just were to study it, not be caught up in our day-to-day. It's predictable the challenges you're going to have in your relationships, or with your kids, or with your body, or with your job, or with your economics, or with your mother-in-law or father-in-law. These are predictable. If you would anticipate these things and put a strategy in place, you could take it all out and have the quality of life that you deserve. In business, it's everything. Those that anticipate, those that lead, and then there's those that follow. The followers are the reactionaries. So the more we can anticipate, and you can't anticipate and lead unless you first learn how to lead yourself at a different level. So I love to have you just see that if you and I can start to take control of our focus, and we can start to control the meaning of our lives and make something really that meaning that empowers us, because look, what's wrong is always available, isn't it? There's always an Ebola, a bird flu, there's always something that's going to kill the entire human race tomorrow on TV. And then there's your life. What's wrong is always available, and so is what's right. And you have to take control of that focus, because otherwise you become a follower and you get to live your life. Even though you're a smart person, we're all smart, but it's easy to get led astray by everybody else's focus, isn't it? And then all of a sudden let them create the meaning for us. And then all of a sudden we're settling for a life far less than what we desire or deserve. So my approach is really simple. My approach is to say, let's, you and I, just for a few little time we have here. By the way, this to me is a little time, a couple hours, 2.5 hours, I guess, at this stage. Because kind of the minimum length of seminar I do is 50 hours, 50. And you go, are you kidding me? I don't like to hear myself talk. I like to see people do things so often they build muscle, not just thoughts. And so one thing I'm going to ask you to do in a few minutes is we're going to go from this passive mode that you're in right now into full engagement. Because if you get fully engaged, it's amazing what you can accomplish and do. When you're partially engaged, you get a little bit of result. When you're disengaged, we all know what you get, nothing. And we live in a society where most of us are so overwhelmed. There's so much information. We're not having any problem with information. We're being drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom. And so we got to separate it out. And so one way to separate it out is I'd like to talk to you about 3 things that can help you increase your performance and your life. Because what I'm obsessed by and have been for 37 years is what can increase performance for an individual or an organization. But also I'm equally obsessed about what's going to make somebody fulfilled. Because who's had this horrible experience? Who here has ever achieved your goal and then your brain said, is this all there is? Who's had this experience here? Say, I. And that's worse than failing. At least when you fail, your brain can say, I can figure this out and do it again a new way. But when you succeed and you're miserable, you're basically technically screwed.
So their lifelong dream is to have the restaurant experience. But their idea of the restaurant is based by what goes on in the front. And then they get hired, and now they're working in the back, where there's pushing and shoving, and you find out who comes late and who you can't depend on, and so-and-so's real anointed, but they also are a liar, and they get on your nerves, and they're egotistical maniac. Can I be real up in here this morning? And they're like shocked and flabbergasted and saying, oh God, I'm going to have to leave this ministry. I never thought in the world, baby, you signed up for the restaurant, but we hired you in the kitchen. I'm just wondering if you hired your cousin, because those people sign on and they come on to have grandiose spiritual extravagance. They want to have this moment. It's like people who move to your church because you were in a conference, because they think the conference goes on every Sunday. And then they come back a few Sundays and all them extra people are not there. Israel Houghton is not singing this morning. It's Clarabelle Wilson. And she's just a skipping and a singing, and she can't sing worth jack, you know? And they say, where is Israel? Israel is gone, baby.
Age excusitis is a failure disease of never being the right age to succeed. It comes in two forms: I'm too old or I'm too young. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm too old to start a new career now, or I'm too young for all that responsibility? In fact, how often have you heard yourself say it? This excuse has closed the door of real opportunity to thousands of people. They think their age is somehow wrong, so they don't even bother to try. And, unfortunately, we live in a society that seems all too ready to reinforce those stereotypes. On any night on TV, you can see old people put out to pasture and young people biting off more than they can chew. These statistics we read in the paper continually tell us how hard it is to find a job when you're 60 or when you're 19. But the fact is, for every statistic and every dramatization of these so-called problem ages, you can find real-life exceptions to the rules. Ronald Reagan was elected president just prior to his 70th birthday. Harlan Sanders was collecting Social Security checks when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Satchel Paige was playing professional baseball well into his 50s. But he didn't talk about his age. On the other end of the age spectrum, Apple Computer was started by two young men in their 20s, and the founder of Federal Express thought up the idea for his express mail service when he was in college. So age is no barrier. It is just an excuse. If you think you're too old to change or too young to accept the challenge, here's a cure.
Look at your present age positively. Think, I'm still young, instead of I'm too old. Remember, you're capable of handling any responsibility you believe you can handle. Second, keep this computation in mind. Most people can expect about 50 years of productive working life, from about age 20 to about age 70. If you're 30, you've still got 80% of that productive life ahead of you. If you're 40, you've still got a big 60% of your working life to go. If you're 50, you've still got 40%, at least 20 years of productivity, and that's plenty of time to succeed. Finally, invest your future time in doing what you really want to do. It's only too late when you let your mind become negative and tell you it's too late. Stop thinking, I should have started years ago, because that's failure thinking. Instead, think, I'm going to start now. My best years are ahead of me. That's the way successful people think.
I don't know if I can do this job. I mean, this is really out of my league. I'm not a genius, you know.
I think the most insidious of all the excuse diseases is intelligence excusitis. It's the feeling that I'm not quite smart enough, or other people know something I don't. Unlike the other maladies we've discussed, people tend to suffer this one in silence. Nobody wants to talk about how dumb they feel, but they feel it deep down inside, and it blocks their road to success. Most of us, you see, make two basic errors with respect to intelligence. One, we vastly underestimate our own brain power, and two, we vastly overestimate the intelligence of other people. Because of these two mistakes, we sell ourselves short, and we fail to take advantage of many opportunities. Some years ago, Dr. Edward Teller, the famous physicist who's called the father of the atomic bomb, was asked what a young person needed to know to become a successful scientist. Teller said, I quote, "A child does not need a lightning-fast mind to be a scientist, nor does he need a miraculous memory, nor is it necessary that he gets very high grades in school. The only point that counts is that the child have a high degree of interest in science. Interest and enthusiasm are the critical factors, not intelligence." Another way of putting it is simply to say, it's not how much intelligence you have that counts, it's how you use the intelligence you have. Let me give you another example. I was at a college class reunion a while back, and I met a fellow I hadn't seen for about 25 years. His name was Chuck. He was one of the brightest people I've ever met, and he graduated with honors. The last time I talked to him, he had a goal of someday owning his own business. So when I saw him at the reunion, I asked him, "How's your business going?"
Well, David, to tell you the truth, I never really went into business for myself. You know what I did? I used my college education to become an expert in why my business ideas wouldn't work out. Yeah, I learned all the pitfalls of businesses, all the reasons why you might fail. And, you have to be sure you have plenty of capital. The business cycle is right. You have to make sure there's enough demand for your product. The local industry is stabilized. There's 1,001 things to check out. So here I am today. I'm still auditing freight shipments and just plodding along, working for somebody else, and it's not really doing me a lot of good. And I see friends of mine from high school who went out right after high school, and they're doing successful business straight from high school. There's got to be a reason for that.
Do you see Chuck's dilemma? The thinking that guided his intelligence was far more significant than the amount of intelligence he has. If you study the world around you, you'll find a lot of highly successful people with very average IQs. And you'll also find a lot of failures who are brilliant. The difference is one of attitude. What are these people using their brain power for? To defeat themselves or to find ways to succeed? There's one more point I want to make before we summarize the cures for this disease of intelligence excusitis. Another common mistake that people make with regard to intelligence is to equate piles of facts with useful brain power. But it's far more important to use those brain cells for thinking and analyzing than it is for memorizing. Someone once asked Albert Einstein, "How many feet are there in a mile?" Einstein replied, "I don't know. Why should I fill my head with facts that I can find in 2 minutes in any reference book?" Einstein, as usual, was right. You can always find facts. You can't always find good, positive thinking. That you've got to learn for yourself. So here's a cure for intelligence excusitis.
So that brings me to the final step, that it's necessary for us to begin to look at the future and know that it's possible that we can have our dream. Yes, it is. Other people have done it, then we can do it. We fail a lot of times. Well, a lot of other folks fail, and eventually they came back and they succeeded. So it's possible we can have what we want. And we know that we want to get it. It's necessary that we align ourselves with people that think like we do. It's necessary we get negative, do-nothing people out of our lives. It's necessary we never stop learning and growing and developing ourselves. It's necessary that we never give up. We know that it's you, it's me. It's being responsible for our stuff and deciding that we're going to keep on keeping on, that we're going to find a way to win or find a way to make it happen. And we know it's hard. It's not going to be a picnic. Yes, it's hard, and we will do it hard. And once we do it hard and we go through it, we realize it was worth it. And once you discover it was worth it, it is done. It's done. It's done, ladies and gentlemen, before it happens. Well, here's what I'm suggesting to you. That when you're working, you have a wall to break through. Let's say a friend of mine he runs a marathon, and he says, when he's running the 26-mile marathon, he said, let's say that hypothetically, that 18th mile is the wall. He said, Les, when you get there and you're running, he says, everything in you is telling you to stop, to give up. Every muscle is aching, and you're saying to yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you just keep on, and you keep on, and you keep on. It seems like you're moving at slow motion, and then eventually when you break through that 18-mile wall, then you know it's like done, and you're on automatic, and you glide on in, and you know it's there. You know you're going to get to the finish line. And we've all had experiences where we were working on something, and we knew it was possible, and we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was rough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, can nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move.
I recommended the last time I was here the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people in the last 33 years, and I've recommended this little book to almost all of them, I think. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. In that last seminar, right, I suggested this little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. And number three, it's easy to read. It's in story form. That's why I use it for teenagers, teaching them how to be rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. What do you know? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. 90% don't or won't. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. 10% will, 90% won't. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. You're looking at one of the faces. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered even if it was easy. Guess how many people have a library card? Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life in any value amount you want. By the way, how much is a library card in Texas? Free. Here's what free is. Easy. I mean, it can't be any easier than free. Somebody says, well, would you bring it by? Well, no. At least you got to go get it. No. Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life spiritually, socially, personally, economically, and every other way. Teach you how to be rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy, influential. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 95, 97% couldn't be bothered. Guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card. And now readily and quickly blames the government, and blames his company, and blames policy, and blames the pay scale. When if he only knew, if he joined the 3%. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame lists they cling to. Start you a new life. You say, well, is it as simple as getting a library card and join the 3%? And the answer is, of course. Of course. That's how easy this stuff is. This is so easy. It's so simple. It's not complex. You don't need a 2,000-year-old guru. You don't need multi-track affirmations. I'm telling you, don't. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Don't let somebody sweep you into some contrary way to nature itself says, unless you labor. The miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons and God and all the other stuff that's available, sunshine and rain, that's not available to you by affirmation. It is only available to you by labor. So labor well. Learn well. Discipline yourself well. And you can have all the treasures you want. This stuff's easy and simple. It's not ocean waves and seagulls. You don't have to move to Sedona where all the force fields come together in Arizona.
Well, when you make the decision to be successful, like I said earlier, and you have to expect there's going to be trouble. Life, okay, how can I say this to you? Listen to me. Life is 10%. Life is 10% what happens to you. It's 90% what you do about it. See, life is going to happen to all of you. I don't care who you are. You're going to lose a loved one. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be told no. You're going to fall. You are going to fail many times to become successful. It is a part of success. It is the process. You have to fail in order to be successful. That's the way it works. There's no other way. Listen to me. For 30 years, I made a lot of money telling jokes. I write jokes. Me, I don't care what you say. When I want to be funny, that is my God-given gift. I can be funny. But listen to this though. I done wrote a lot of jokes that wasn't funny. I have written some stuff that I thought was hysterical in my house. I was writing, I went, boy, when they hear this, they're gonna be screaming, yes! Went out on stage that night, did the joke, nothing. I mean nothing. I have written more jokes that did not work than actually worked. I have failed far more times than I have ever succeeded. Okay, see, let me show you. Okay, check this out. Okay, listen. Michael Jordan, who is like really the greatest basketball player of all time, right? Michael Jordan has taken 985 game-winning shots. That means before the buzzer, Jordan has raised up 985 times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 145 of them. He has shot the ball 980 some times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 140 game-winning shots. You don't care nothing about the failure. You don't know nothing about the 800 times he missed. But oh, you cheer and clap for the 145 that went in. You see, that is how it works, man. That is the magic of how it works. They're only going to write about the victories. They only laugh at the jokes I write that's funny. You don't even know the jokes I wrote that didn't work because I stopped telling them. But you laugh at the movies and the YouTube clips, and God has made me famous and I don't even know. I don't even know how. I just dreamed of one day becoming globally. You know what? Let me tell you. I asked God to, about 10 years ago, I told God I wanted him to increase my global brand and persona. I wanted to be more global. I didn't want to just stay in the United States. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted people around the world to know of me. So God began to change me. So he said, you will have to be more than just funny in order for this to happen. So I did not know that my motivational tapes, the stories I've told about my life would go on a platform called YouTube. Because 10 years ago, what was YouTube? I didn't know. I just started telling my story and they started putting it on YouTube and Facebook, and people started finding out more of who I was. So when I was asking God to increase my global brand and persona, I had no idea how he was going to really do it. Until 2015, they hired me to become the host of the Miss Universe pageant. That was God.
And by the way, I'm getting better and better and better at my craft. The larger numbers I run, the more I get more proficient at my message, the more I learn to close better. You with me on that? All right, so let's get to some keys, and then I'll show you some stuff. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I need to convince you. Some of you, Sam said, hey, not everybody there knows you. That's totally cool. This is a new market for me. All the stuff I sell is free. I spent the first 45 years of my life being blessed by great mentors, great guidance, great information. I decided I'm going to spend the last 45 years of my life, the second 45, helping other people build their dream. How many of you have a big dream you want to make come true in your life? Something special you want to do? Okay. Me too, and I got bigger ones. Let me tell you what everybody's dream is. Put in your note. I don't care if you sell pest control, security, solar, insurance. I don't care what it is. Guess what they want? You ready? And guess what you want? You want to be happier. You got to link everything to people's happiness. You think that's ridiculous. So I'm gonna kill some termites. They're gonna be happier. Yep. They think if you did pest control, at the end of the day, the greatest influencers get that people want to be happier. All of you want to be happier. You think if I become a millionaire, I'll be happier. If I get that baller jet, I'll be happier. If I'm making 100 grand, I'll be happier. If I lose 30 pounds, I'll be happier. If I protect my family with security, my family will be happier. People want to be happier. You think, well, maybe that applies to other businesses, but not mine. Really? You already aren't coaching. Listen to someone who's built some of the largest sales organizations. I built sales organizations, medical, financial. I built them in the retail space. I understand building teams. I understand persuasion. Everything is linked to people's happiness. You know why NBA players are playing basketball? They think if they make more money, take care of the mama, win some NBA championships, everybody will be happier. Every human does something to be happier. There's this dude who sold more hamburgers than anybody in the world. What's his name? Anybody know? Ray Kroc. He's also, his organization, most people don't know this, is the largest holder of acreage real estate on earth. He owns the most real estate in the world selling hamburgers. Guess what? He didn't sell hamburgers because his hamburgers sucked. You know what he sold? Happiness. Happiness. He got creative. What does a hamburger have to do with being happy? Absolutely nothing, except he created an environment where people wanted more hamburgers. People want to get recruited into teams to be happier. They think it's making money, but that's the symptom. The disease is they want to be happier. If you keep selling money all the time to people, just money, you're not going to have a very good team. But if you sell happiness, recognition, travel, success, income, all those things, that's what people want. What people want in every area of life is to be happier. You know what Ray Kroc's mascot is for hamburgers? A clown. A clown. Do you know what his number one selling meal is called? A what? Happy Meal. Turns out I'm right, huh? Turns out I'm right. This dummy knows a little bit about selling, a little bit about influence. All these dudes you see in here that are hardcore with their hats on, these stud dudes in here, they want to be happier. You know what I know? When I was 21 years old and I started in this business, I wanted to be happier. You know what I want right now? I want to be happier. You know what I want in 20 years? To be happier. You know what I want for my family? Them to be happier. And I will buy products and join organizations that make me think I can be.
Everybody wants life to be greater, but almost all of us get stuck at times where something stops us. Something prevents us from doing something that we really are capable of doing, whether it's turning around our body or shifting a relationship or turning around our finances or maybe just being happy and fulfilled at a different level. We get stuck with a belief of how we're not supposed to be, what we're not supposed to do, what people won't accept, what we're not capable of. Or maybe we get stuck in an emotional pattern, just being pissed off or frustrated or worried or sad or overwhelmed. Sometimes we get stuck, not so much in anything but some habits of doing things a certain way. And what a breakthrough simply is that moment in time where there's an opening, and the opening can come from a conversation, that can come from meeting somebody that inspires you. It can come from insight. It can come from watching a movie and being moved emotionally at just that right moment. It usually comes because something kind of clicked inside of something that snapped us and made us look at life through a different filter, in a different way. And it's a real breakthrough because you take that little insight, that little distinction, that little moment, or maybe that little or big emotion inside of you that says no more, I'm gonna change this, and suddenly you do something to make your life better. You break out of the impossibility of life has to be this way, or life is controlling me, and you start to take back control of your life. You start to make this shift that creates the quality of life that you really deserve. Think about it in your own life. How could you have some area of your life where you raise your standard and your life has never been the same? Maybe at one time in your life you smoked cigarettes, or you did something and you did it for years and you kept trying to change it and kept telling yourself I should. And then one day something happened. Something just clicked you over. Something took you over that kind of tipping point, and inside yourself, you said no more. It was a very, very different experience, wasn't it? Something inside of you shifted, and what was a should become a must, and you've never gone back. Is there an area like that in your life? You can think of. Everybody wants to change. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody, I should say, wants progress, but nobody wants to change. Everybody wants your life better, but nobody wants to do the push-ups. The running has an economic or emotional discipline to make it happen. But if you're watching this right now and you're still with me, some part of you wants more, and I'm saying to you, choose it on the way you're gonna choose. It is really simple. If you're in that crisis, what keeps you in the crisis is probably because you're being reinforced. No. There have been areas in your life where some point in time, you just shifted and you raised the standard. Your life changed because whatever people have their identity attached, they live. We live who we believe we are. That's just how it works. Most people overeat, or they smoke, or they drink, or they yell at people. They keep doing it because they're rewarded. Whatever it gets rewarded, gets reinforced. Whatever habit or behavior is reinforced, it comes as a habit. And then pretty soon do it long enough to become a part of your personality. And pretty soon you think it's who you are, and you just keep living that way. I mean, it's easy to see this in other people, right? It's easy to see how messed up they are and how easy they couldn't. They just make some new choices. All you got to just turn on the television, some news programs, entertainment programs, and you'll hear detailed descriptions about some person who is a very powerful celebrity who is doing some stupid things. Why do we see all the stuff on television? Why do we hear about every person you could imagine? From Lindsay Lohan to Britney Spears to all the way back to the old days? It was Elvis or Michael Jackson or whoever it is that's in the news. Today, in this stage of life in your country, you're watching this. It's because we want to see other people who make bad decisions so we can feel better about our own. But the reason those people don't change, Lindsay Lohan, she's got another do why. She's putting herself at risk. She's putting other people, or she could kill someone. She goes to jail, is supposed to be 90 days, but here's the consequence. It goes to 2 weeks on before she even gets out of jail. She makes a deal for an interview and gets paid $1 million. When she gets out for the interview, what do you think? The chances of her changing when her bad behavior gets her $1 million, and I don't know if she even makes that for that much time of acting at this stage. What do you think the chances are when people around her say, "It's not your fault. It's not fair. They treat you unfairly"? As long as we have the decision that we're not responsible, it's not our fault. We can't change anything. We have no power, so don't know about time. You watch this. If Lindsay will change, but if she did it because the enabler's era is gone, she's taken responsibility and she's found something she values more than attention and money for bad behavior. That was easy to look at that with her. But what about you and I? Were you and I addicted to our problems? Were you and I reinforced so many people will have a big problem? Listen, if things were going well, you say it's going so great, your friends go, "Well, that's great." And after a while, they go, "Well, easy for you." But if you got a problem, people, "Hey, I understand and connect with you." Where do we get addicted to our problems? If you want to make a new choice, if you want to make a new decision today, if you want to have a breakthrough in some area of life, you have to give up the story that it's not your fault, and you got to give up the attention and love and the connection and commiserating that comes with it with other human beings. When you start to connect your true nature, suddenly there's energy available for you to set a higher standard for what you want in your life. That's what this is really all about. And when I talk about standards, when I talk about, should versus must, think about your own life. One of the key little subjects we talk about on the weekend is the 7 fundamentals for wealth and happiness. That's one of them. Well, planned economics. It's fundamental if you want to do well, join the top 5%. Anybody in this room can join the top 5%. If you will make a list of the things you want, and on my list of things now I put everything, little things as well as major things. Doesn't matter how small it is. It goes on my list. I used to just put major things, cars, homes. I don't do that anymore. I now load my list with everything. Everything, and the reason is part of the fun of having a list is checking it off. That's it, boy. At the end of the day, if you could go, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Whatever it is, right, you get into the habit. So load up your list. The things you want. Now, when you check off something major, celebrate. That's an important point to make. Celebrate your achievements. Live it up. Have a party when you reach something you've worked for a while. See, we all grow from 2 experiences. One is called the pain of losing. The other one is called the joy of winning. We need both of them. Amplify him as much as you can, which also means make losing painful. If you set up something, fooled around, didn't get it, put it on yourself on the other side. If you did get it, congratulate yourself. Self-congratulation is a sign of maturity. Seeking congratulations is a sign of immaturity, but hey, winning and losing. See, that's what it's all about. That's the name of the game now. Some people lead such mediocre lives. At the end of the day, they don't know whether they're winning or losing. They got no clue, guy's just going through the day with his fingers crossed. Okay, here's the 3rd category of goals. Personal development. Put those goals together. Personal development goals. That's your goal. To be stronger, more decisive. Be a speaker, be a leader, learn a language, all kinds of skills. The whole weekend seminar was designed to improve all your skills so that you walk away more skillful, and that's what you want. Personal development skills. That's what attracts. That's what brings good things to your life. The person, you become more skillful. Look at these 2 men. Do you know who they are? Most people don't. They're just a couple of ordinary guys. One, they're both gone now. But one was an ordinary beekeeper in Auckland, New Zealand, and the other a Sherpa guide from over around Nepal. Now there's Mount Everest. You know, for thousands of years, people have tried to get to the top of Mount Everest. People died doing it. It was believed it couldn't be done. People tried, but they didn't know how. And so they quit. There's a closer look at the mountain and where they placed their flag. They planted that flag in the mountain. Now, this is the 2 of them after they come down the mountain, and you know something. When they started, they did not know how, they didn't know how to get to the top of the mountain. And that's what stops most people because they don't know how as little kids we'd go. Mummy. Daddy, I want this, and they say, how are you going to do that? It was a little kid. You don't know how to do it. But they did it in 1953 on the 29th of May. They were the first to get to the top of that mountain. They stood right on top of the world. You know, there have been over 1,000 people do it since then. I watched a young woman on Canadian television being interviewed, not very big. She had just come back from going to the top of Mount Everest, and the reporter asked her. They said, how does it feel now that you conquered the mountain? We didn't conquer the mountain. That mountain can be conquered. We conquered the limitations that are within ourselves. Be prepared, understand. Put yourselves in the shoes of the people or the businesses that you're working with. The message that I just got on Cyberdust is a perfect example. If he would have put himself in my shoes, it would be obvious that Cyberdust is important to me. I'm trying to push everybody to message using it. I've volunteered, and Dave mentioned that hey, I'm gonna be answering questions long after this is over from you people, from everybody sending me messages. So Cyberdust is obviously important to me. And so if you're able to do something that reflects something that's important to me or whoever it is that you're working or trying to get a job where they're trying to get an internship with. We're trying to get an investment from, if you can put yourself in their shoes and put yourself in the context of what's important to them. Your chances of being successful increase 99% of 1,000 feet. Right, and one other point I'll leave with you, right, if you're working for somebody, the best way to be successful is by reducing the stress of those around you. Yeah, it's not about you. It's always about me, but that's a different point. But it's not about you. So what? The people around you. If you're reducing the stress of the people around you, those are the people. Those people start to gravitate towards you. They want to work with you because you make going to work easier, more pleasant. You help them accomplish their goals. You help put them in a position to succeed by reducing their stress. Yeah.